£75,000. Well, Christine Handy joins me now. And Christine, I know that we spoke a couple of years ago on this very show, and you were desperately trying to find a solution and track him down. Because you met him, you were very vulnerable because you just had a divorce, and he used you, didn't he? He did. He
did, yes.
He did. So when he first met you, did you just think he was fantastic?
He was lovely. He was a lovely guy, and we were very happy.
And right, so it was a great relationship. Everything was fine.
Yeah, he was a little unusual. I thought he was a bit eccentric, but you know, it's getting to know someone in a relationship, isn't it? And then I became pregnant with our son, and that's really when things started to change.
Because up until then, he had been, you know, the dream person, hadn't he? He was absolutely terrific. He took care of you, looked after you, and like I was saying, you were feeling a bit bruised after the divorce, and you were, perhaps, you know, signs were there, but he was so plausible.
He was very plausible, yes.
And it was very difficult for you to, you know, to sort of get past that, because he was everything that you wanted, I guess.
Yes, and, you know, I got to meet his family, and it just seemed like a normal relationship. And
he pretended to be Baron Rothschild, didn't he? He said he was, or did he say he was the sort of love child of one of the Rothschilds?
After a few dates, he brought out his passport, saying, "This is who I am." But that's the big headline, is that he was a Rothschild, and it is the name that he used.
Right.
But he did say that he was disowned by them. He never said that he was going to inherit the wealth.
No.
So he did. He was a Rothschild, but he tried to...
Right, but he was spinning all this.
Yes.
All this was going on. Now, clues were there. He was very camera shy.
Yes.
And he didn't really want you to spend an awful lot of time with people who knew him very well, like his family. You know, he wouldn't want you to spend some time with his sister, for example. Because,
oh, I did.
But was he worried that you would find out more about him?
I did spend a lot of time with his family. There was only one member of his family he was very reluctant for me to spend time with.
This was a sister?
Yes, so his sister-in-law.
When did you find out that it was all just a pack of lies?
In the August of 2006.
That's when it all sort of unravelled?
That's when she told me.
So she told you that he was just after
He wasn't who he said he was. She went on in detail about other victims that he'd had.
And is that when she said to you, "I hope you haven't given him any money"?
Well, that's how the conversation started, because she was coming to visit me, and he'd come round to see me and said, "I really don't want her coming here." And I thought, I'd better phone her and say, you know, there's a problem.
Yeah.
And that's when she said to me, "Are you financially involved with him?"
Ouch.
And it was like,
Yeah. And you'd given him an awful lot of money. When he was asking you for money, how was he able to make you think that it was all fine? Because we're talking, eventually it was £600,000, which is an absolute fortune.
Well, the first lump sum of money, which was £75,000, was to go towards a course at London Business School, plus external exams he was taking. He needed computer equipment, he needed books.
Right.
After that, the majority of the money came once I was pregnant. And I was 5 months pregnant with Marcus when he approached me, panic-stricken, that he'd got this tax bill that needed paying, and if it wasn't paid, he was going to have to leave the country. And I'm thinking, I've got my 3 children, plus I'm, you know, pregnant with...
So again, it's all very plausible. Do you know what he did with the money?
When I made him bankrupt, we employed an insolvency practitioner, which allowed me to get past the Data Protection Act and be able to see his bank accounts. So I sat down for 3 weeks, made a spreadsheet, and just clocked everywhere, every transaction that he made. I probably know his life better than he does.
Wow. And what was he spending it on?
Expensive bric-a-brac, really. You know, Tiffany silver, Cartier, Mont Blanc pens, Ralph Lorraine. There are a few female items in there, and they weren't gifts that I received. So I think they were props to let him move on to his next victim. Ah, right, because, you know, once he drains you dry, he's got to go into somebody else. You did manage to track him down, though. I did. You did, and I know that the last time you were on, we spoke about the fact that that's what you wanted to do. Did manage to track him down. He is in jail. He is. He is in jail. Do you feel... I mean, it's very difficult for you, isn't it? Because you have a son together. So there's never going to be that clean break. And you have to, at some point... What age is your wee boy now? He's 5. 5, yeah. At some point, he's going to have to know about what his dad has done. And that's going to be so difficult for him and for you. Yeah, I've taken advice, and basically I've just got to be honest with him, very gently, and introduce, as he matures, be able to tell him more and more.
And just be honest with him as he's growing up. Because kids, you know, they do accept things if you're very straight with them.
Yes.
But that is going to be very, very difficult for him, because clearly you don't want any contact.
No.
And again, that's very, very hard. It really is. Do you feel, though, that now that he is in jail and you have somehow managed to get justice, if you like, but you're still out of pocket?
Yes, I've got civil litigations ongoing to try and recover some of the assets.
Right.
So I'm optimistic.
Well, I wish you all the best with that. I really do, and it's just very, very sad that, you know, that somebody can prey on people like that, prey on vulnerable people. But thank you very much indeed, Christine. Thank you. Right, we've got lots more still to come between now and 9:25. We have a new chef in the kitchen this morning. James Tanner is here. James, what have we got?
Hiya, Lorraine. We're going to be cooking some of this stuff, which is gnocchi, believe it or not. We're going to do it with some chorizo sausage, a wonderful stew, a bit of flat leaf parsley at the top, and it's done on a